be recorded. It should happen automatically, both getting you to breakout groups and bringing you back to the whole group. And so give us a little bit of grace. We're learning, but that should be a pretty smooth process. And then finally, to connect with one another as much as possible. Like Nicole mentioned, there will be a few times that we take down the PowerPoint and we switch to sharing openly, and would love to see all of your faces. And so would love for people to stay in grid view when we are not presenting through the PowerPoint, so that we can interact and see each other face to face as much as possible. Any questions or things I forgot, Nicole?
Perfect.
I'd like to add my echo to Liz and Nicole's welcome. It's so exciting to see so many people here tonight. What a great time we have ahead of us as we learn from each other. My name is Roberta Reed. I know some of you, but not all of you. And I was an instructional coach in Cherry Creek until I retired 2 years ago. I currently serve as the executive director for Learning Forward Colorado. And like everyone else during this time, we at Learning Forward Colorado are working hard to navigate these uncharted waters. We're shifting to online platforms, and we'd love to welcome you to join us as a member. One way that we at LFC are working to contribute to our profession and support educators is to partner with Dominican University to offer graduate level credit for a variety of learning experience, including this evening's webinar. I wanted to share that with you because this is fresh off the press. There's not even anything on the website about it, but you are the very first to hear it, and details will follow. I'll add the link so that you can check out the EDUX course, and I'll also add my email in case you have any questions or would like some clarification. This webinar is the second in a series that we're offering. And the series is entitled Navigating Uncharted Waters. So let's have a great time tonight.
Thanks, Roberta.
Thanks, Roberta. So this is a quote from Brene Brown, really bringing forward the importance of connecting with one another. And that's something that I think a lot of us took for granted prior to about 6 weeks ago. We are so excited that you're here, whether it's been a long day or a long week or a long month. Please feel free to take a deep breath, and we want the next hour to really, really be about you and connecting with one another. The way that we've connected with each other has changed significantly in the last 6 weeks. And just as our teachers crave connection and our teachers crave connection, we need that connection as well. And so tonight is an opportunity for us to truly connect with one another across the district lines, across the state, and we're hoping to practice some of the self-care and inspiration that we need to help us get through this together.
So tonight, here are our agreements for tonight. We just, I truly believe that together we are stronger. I hope that every one of us walks away from tonight smarter about something, or just wanting to think more, making connections. So we just ask that you give of yourself so that we all can grow. Whatever vulnerable looks like for you in this setting, whatever you're comfortable with, we just ask you to engage and be as vulnerable as you want and you're comfortable. And if you're familiar with emergenetics, the bottom two, or the bottom, this one here, is about Hattie's effect size of collective teacher efficacy. But I know we're all in the business of growing teachers, right? And growing ourselves as that, as educators. So if you're emergenetics blue, this might speak to you. And then just this quote I love, individually we're one drop and together we're an ocean. So I'm excited to learn with you. Just know that we're recording this for future learning for people who may have signed up and weren't able to come for a variety of whatever reasons happen. But it's a judgment-free zone. We're not here to judge each other. You can't grow when you're judging each other. And so we're here really just truly to learn from one another.
I started to talk and realized I was muted. So we're going to pack a lot into the next hour, starting with a connection in just a minute, doing some collective learning. We did send out an optional article. If you didn't have time to read it, no big deal. But we're really going to elevate some of the themes that are coming up across our work as coaches and mentors. Ask at some point that you choose one of those topics to really dive into and connect with other people. And then we'll share out some major ahas to the big group and close our time together. So it's going to be an action-packed 50 minutes, and we're excited to get started.
Yeah, and Liz is in charge of anything time related, because you know me. If you know me, that's not my forte. So we're gonna explain this part and then toggle back out and be in the view where we can see each other's faces, or screens is fine if you've got a cute picture up there or whatnot. We're gonna ask you to introduce yourself with first names only, and then one word that describes how you're feeling just right now. And the reason why we ask is our names are very personal, right? And so are feelings, and it can be a great equalizer. Sometimes with titles comes a sense of power, and that is not what we're about tonight at all. Nobody is better than or higher up or anything. We're all equals. So I'd ask just a first name for now. And then one word that describes how you're feeling. And then when we go into breakout groups later, you'll have some choice in that, and you'll be with people you don't know. And so we would just ask.
No matter what, she didn't work today. She doesn't have to walk the dogs. She works. She doesn't have to walk the dogs.
Somebody might want to mute.
She never does.
But we ask when we go into breakout groups, that's where you can talk, because one of the other advantages too is we have people from across our state here. Well, at least 2 districts. I'm going to think big and across the state. So we do want you to connect on a more personal level there. So names, and then just think of one word that describes how you're feeling. For the sake of a lot of us in this one room, I'm going to call names. If that's okay, if that doesn't feel too awkward. If your name gets called first and you're not ready, just say pass and we can come back to you. But that was the only way we could think about how to manage efficiently 30 some people. So we'll come out of this. Awesome. All right. So I alphabetized by first name. So Amy, you're up if you're comfortable, or I can skip and come back.
No, that's good. Amy, and I'll go ahead with embarrassed right now because I was the person messing up with my mute button. So, it was a first. I guess it was bound to happen. I guess tired. I'm a little tired, overwhelmed, those kinds of feelings.
Thank you. Carol?
I'm Carol, sorry, and I'm feeling optimistic.
Thank you. Danielle? I know she's here. Danielle, we'll come back. Oh no, I can see her. You're on mute, Danielle.
Sorry, I'm Danielle. I'm feeling sad right now.
Thank you for sharing that. Daphne?
I'm Daphne. I'm feeling hopeful.
Dina?
I'm Dina, and I am feeling, I'm sorry, I don't have a feeling right now. I think I'm feeling emotional, lots of different emotions.
Thank you. Did Ellen join us? Okay, Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. I am over it.
Jennifer Sheldon.
I'm Jen, and I am feeling optimistic.
Thank you. Jenny Bigby.
To make sure I knew how to unmute my mic. I'm Jenny, and I'm feeling great.
Thank you. Jim.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I am feeling disconnected.
Thank you. Julia, did she join us?
I did.
Yay,
I'm Julia, and I'm feeling frustrated.
Thank you for sharing. Karen?
I'm Karen, and I'm feeling anxious.
Kelly? We'll come back. Kim? Kim Good.
Hi, my name is Kim, and after spending a day fighting with my
child, my 13-year-old, and going back and forth in meetings. I am really tired.
We're right there with you. Thank you. Kimberly. I think we had two Kims. Kimberly. Okay. We can always come back. Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm going to steal Jim's word. I'm feeling disconnected.
Thank you. Christina.
Good evening. I'm Christina. I'm going to third that word, disconnected.
Thank you. Lois.
Hi, I'm Lois. I'm feeling uncertain.
Lynn. All right, we'll come back. Margot. Marie.
Hi, everyone. Today I did a remote learning class with adults that we transitioned online. So right now I'm feeling energized, but most other days I'm feeling stuck.
Thank you. Megan.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan. I right now I'm exhausted, but I most of the day felt pretty hopeful. So
Thank you. Melanie. Okay, Michelle. Rachel.
I would say my feelings change every about 10 minutes. But right now I'm feeling sleepy.
Thank you. Rhonda.
I'm Rhonda and I'm feeling content.
Thank you. Roberta.
I'm Roberta and I'm feeling encouraged.
Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'd say right now I'm curious.
Sherry. Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sherry. I'm feeling isolated.
Stephanie. Thank you.
I am Stephanie, and I think I would have to say I'm feeling a little overwhelmed at this point.
Thank you. Tammy?
I'm Tammy, and I'm totally thrilled that I matched Roberta Reed because my word was encouraged too. Hi, my friend.
Thank you. Tosca. Okay, Zeb.
Hi, I'm Zeb, and I'll echo a couple of people and say I'm feeling disconnected as well.
Liz?
I'm going to echo Daphne and say hopeful.
Is there anyone else that I forgot, not intentionally, that joined us just in the last minute or so that didn't get a chance to share? Okay, my word is grateful. All right. I'm going to come back to sharing our screen. Thank you for doing that with us. It was so great to hear your voices. All right.
So we are going to kind of move into the content portion of our time together. Wanted to start with some personal reflection, thinking about in your typical role, what hats do you wear? So kind of question number one. And then on the back end of that, since we've shifted to remote learning, how has your role changed? So I'm going to give you about a minute to think to yourself about what your typical role has been, and then since we've shifted, how that role has changed. And then would love for some of us to elevate that either in the chat or out loud.
Liz, you want us just to answer when? Okay.
Yeah,
Since I've
whenever you're
already
ready.
started, I'll keep going. So many of you mentioned disconnected in so much of my job. I'm an instructional coach at, or I'm the instructional coach at Eagle Crest. So a lot of my job was meetings with teachers, stopping by classrooms,
and just really anything that supported teachers is under the umbrella of my job. And now I can't do really many of those things in the way that it looked when I was in the building. And I'm trying to ride the fine line between sending emails that show support and also not being overwhelming. So I want to remind people that I exist and that I can help with a lot of things, but also at some points I think that I am, you know, and there are just so many emails that people can't even read all of them right now. And so my role now looks a lot more like an administrator, which really just cements how little I want to go into administration. Sorry if any of you are an administrator, but I think you do wonderful work. It's just not for me. But that's mostly what my job looks like right now. So not a lot of joy or energy for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm happy to pipe up. This is Jim. I actually think this remote learning piece has been a good shift for me. I'm a instructional technology coordinator at Eagle Crest. Hi, Marie. And I'm actually doing more of what I was hired to do now than I was when I was in the building. When I'm in building face to face, it's a lot of, oh, can you fix this? Can you fix this? Can you fix this kind of piece? And now I'm actually doing the professional development that I was designed to do. So that's nice, but I don't have the opportunities to coach as much as well. So that's kind of where I am at this point.
I can chime in. I think the first few weeks for me were just, I think, confusing because I'm not really knowing like how we can support teachers. And I think teachers were so overwhelmed. I'm at Ponderosa, I'm the instructional coach, but you know, so I feel like the first few weeks I was in this like kind of admin role as we kind of navigated through this, and I worked a lot with admin, kind of brainstorming and being, you know, think partners there. But I think just in the last, like this week and last week, the teachers I feel like are coming up for air and they're reaching out to me like they would if I was in the building, but it's taken a lot of time for them to be comfortable and learn whatever platform and work with families. But just last week and this week, teachers are reaching out. They want to be think partners again. They want to try something new. They want my advice on something. And they want more coaching. So I feel more me these last couple weeks, but the first few weeks, I feel like it was just this unknown territory that I didn't know where I fit.
Absolutely. It was kind of like people didn't know what they don't know. And so therefore, how do you ask for help when you have no idea what you need? And so I have definitely seen that, Sarah. Thank you to Rhonda and Carol for also elevating about a role kind of switching from assessing and coaching to being really in that encouraging space. And Carol's talking about how a lot of the same structures that were in place in a brick and mortar building, she's still facilitating online. And so that's exciting to see. I imagine that brings some comfort. Anyone else want to share? So coaches and mentors serve schools in so many different ways. But our number one goal and our number one charge always is to develop and build the capacity of our teachers. And so even in a remote environment, this continues to be our work, but it looks much different, like many of you have elevated. It's been about encouraging and supporting wherever teachers need us, even if that means we have to wait 3 weeks to know where that is. And that can feel really frustrating. It can feel really uncomfortable. And it can put us in a much more vulnerable position than we're used to being in. And so I think by naming that shift in our roles, we can tame it almost. And by just calling it to the forefront, it can help us navigate it a little bit better. I think we're ready, Nicole. Perfect. Thanks. So this was the article that we shared with you over email. And what it really brought to the forefront were kind of 4 big buckets. And these are buckets, like many of you have mentioned, that we use all of the time, whether we're in a brick and mortar building or now that we're in a remote learning space. That role has just shifted a bit, but we are always focused on caring for ourselves and others. We are always focused on equity and compassion for those that we're working with. And it's our job in a lot of places to be the bright spots and to look for opportunities and be that constant source of support for teachers. And so we're hoping tonight that we can really dig into each one of those with you, do some learning and thinking alongside of you, and then allow you to pick one area that you would like to dive into a little bit deeper.
And then the way we'll do that is we'll talk about these three here, the bottom three, a little bit, and Liz and I will have some dialogue, and we encourage you to participate through the chat at that time, and then to be thinking about which group you'd like to join to kind of just have some discussion with. You don't need to choose right this second. I think my idea would come at the end of after I've heard all of them, but we just ask you to go ahead and use the chat box to add in, but for the sake of time, and getting to breakout groups, which we feel like is going to be really valuable, we just ask you to participate through the chat now.
So this one's really about caring for yourself and others, thinking about how we have to be regulated ourselves before we can regulate others. And I think we're really used to that, you know, as teachers, thinking about how we need to be regulated and calm before we can help our students, but that shifts even more so to being regulated in this new environment. So I think this is really hard. I think it's been hard for me because even now when I'm at work, in quotes, I'm not just caring for myself and the teachers that I work with, I'm caring for family members. And so having a toddler is not something I'm used to while I'm at work. And these daily quarantine questions that are on this slide have been a way for me to kind of check in and help keep myself regulated.
And for me, this caring for yourself and others, I've kind of been on this last like 2 years of a journey, kind of thinking about what does this mean for resilience. Our coaching group is reading Onward by Elena Aguilar. And then once you start to read something from her, I just can't stop. So then I look at her blog and I look at everything else, and I find her so inspirational for thinking about how we build resilience, right? Which I think is this caring for yourself. It's really hard to care for other people if you aren't taking care of yourself. And I have 4 kids, so taking care of myself is really bottom of the list for me after I get home, for sure. It's them. And when I'm at work, I truly believe that my purpose is to serve the teachers in service to our children. And so I feel like I'm in this serving role all the time. And so where does caring for yourself come? So this, when we kind of synthesized the article, this came up, and I can't help but think about Elena Aguilar's work and think about what I think my biggest takeaway this year I'm trying to grapple with is that self-care isn't selfish. We do need to make time for that, or somehow get back to ourselves. I'm not perfect at it by any means, but I always think about when you get on an airplane and they tell you if the oxygen mask comes down and you're with a small child to put yours on first. And then the small child, so I'm always like, okay, what could be my small little dose of oxygen just right now? Like, what do I need? And it just changes depending upon the moment. Let's see. Oh, and then I was thinking about how this has been a challenging time for me. I actually was part of a group earlier today, and it really brought this up, is that because I've tied my purpose to caring for other people and serving other people, and now I'm in this different role of kind of remotely serving, I feel like in a way I've tied so much of my purpose to that I'm not really sure what my purpose is at this point, right? Or like feel like maybe I'm intruding in team meetings or something. So it's like, okay, well, okay, let's back up. If the topic is caring for ourselves and others, how might I be able to care for other people? And how is that shifting right now? I think my big takeaway on that is just, again, kind of really strengthening the relationships with people right now, because I can't serve in the way that I'm quote unquote used to.
Yeah, that makes me think a lot too, Nicole, about expectations, both personally and professionally, that we are used to, you know, measuring our work in a certain way, and that's shifted. And so not lowering expectations, but adjusting our expectations for ourselves while we're at work, for ourselves while we're at home, and recognizing that this is new and this is hard, and it's okay to adjust our, I don't want to say lower, but adjust our expectations accordingly so that we don't feel bad, and so that we can help regulate ourselves a little bit better.
The second topic, which we kind of meshed together a couple of things, but was the equity and compassion. And I don't know about you guys, but I've kind of done some distancing with the media because of just feeling a little overwhelmed about everything and things you can't control, but you need to stay balanced with listening to reports or news, right? So that we're in the know and we know what's going on. But I can't help but think of all the topics that come up for me when I think about equity and or even compassion, down from like, you know, our families can't because there's not tech, they don't have tech, or they don't have access to internet, or the gap is just going to keep getting bigger for kids. And I know that kept me awake, honestly, a lot. I was very frustrated thinking that there is an opportunity gap. We all know that. And how much bigger is that going to be? And for me, this is just courageous for me to say in front of all of you, but I have had to do a lot of thinking about what the role of whiteness is in that, even, and where I put kids' achievement before safety and well-being. And so I'm trying to think about when I hear conversations with colleagues and my staff about, well, these kids just aren't turning in work, or they're not doing this, or they're not doing that. I'm trying to rethink about how I and we as a system, right, value quote unquote like getting work done, right? Maybe it's that everybody's healthy at the house and they're happy and they're spending time with their family. Like, I think that's a success. Maybe not equating that to how many assignments they've turned in. Maybe they are not getting on the device that they have access, but they're choosing to learn in different ways. And so I had to really step back and for myself do a lot of thinking about that, and then know that the compassion piece for me is I can't even imagine what situations our families and colleagues' families are dealing with right now. I can't even make up all those scenarios. So how can I just be present and positive and still, I guess, examine my own bias?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I've been leaning into Glenn Singleton's ideas and agreements about experiencing discomfort and accept non-closure, and recognizing that we might not figure it out today or tomorrow, and that's okay. It's about being in that space and not backing away from the conversations. And like you said, Nicole, examining how whiteness is playing into that, and where my bias fits in. And so I think that's the work that's within my locus of control, and that's the work that that I can do right now. So then topic number 3 is really thinking about those bright spots. We're feeling discouraged right now. We're feeling disconnected. We're feeling frustrated. And so there's a lot of research about how gratitude can help us reframe that. And so thinking about some of, in my really overwhelmed moments where I feel like, is this ever going to end? Or what will normal even be like? Helping myself reframe that into excitement and anticipation about what could potentially come out of this. I've heard a lot of conversation about innovation and what could this create? What opportunities could these create that might not have happened if we weren't in this type of crisis? And so I'm excited. I don't have those answers. Again, like, there's no closure here. But I think about how people are talking about mental health, and we should really talk about mental health of our teachers and our staff all the time. But it's really been brought to the forefront today. And so how can we learn and grow and become more emotionally intelligent in the way that we're supporting people? Because that's something we're doing so well right now. So how can that carry over into our school systems all the time? Oh, Nicole, I think you're muted.
Thanks. That's because my 5-year-old was running around. Sorry. I mean, yeah, sorry. Thanks for telling me. I'm an optimist by nature. And so for bright spots and Jim Knight calls this like witness the good, right? So he does so much around coaching, but I just can't help but think that there's going to be good that comes out of this, right? And that, and so I've been looking for that, right, to help me keep going. It's one of the ways that I know I build resilience is through that. And so I've been seeing teams. So say, for example, I have a team where it's like, there's a very traditional sense of this is how we do things. So when the new person comes on, the new person's does things the way that we do things. And with the move to more of obviously remote learning and needs of technology, well, this new person, that's her jam, right? That's what she can bring to the team. And so now she is now an equal member of the team as opposed to kind of a consumer of like, I'm going to get the things you give me, right? And so she's been able to like shine on her team in a different way. So that to me is a bright spot. I'm thinking of this too as windows of opportunity. So I'm looking for what are ways that we can say, gosh, that was so engaging. How might we do this again in the fall, right? Hopefully when we're all together face to face, like kids are really engaged in that. And this is a place where you can kind of listen for like those kids that are turning in work perhaps, or that are like sharing with their teachers something that they learned. So yeah, I think like this is, I don't know, this just helps me build resilience. It's hard to do, but when you're looking for it, you will see it. You can't help but see it. And then letting other people know you see it, right, is the other half of that, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot too. I mean, we keep throwing around the word vulnerability, but there's something really powerful and that's connecting all of us when we're in each other's homes and we're seeing each other's kids and we're learning something new together, because especially for leaders, that's not always how we roll. We're 5 steps ahead of the people that we're leading, and that's not the case right now. And so I think reframing, this is really hard and it's really scary. And in this really vulnerable position, we're developing deeper connections with each other.
Okay, so now for the moment of truth, if I can actually break you into breakout groups, I'm going to tell you that I'm a little nervous about that, but I think it's going to be great. So if you'll think about which great breakout room you'd like to join, and we'll probably spend about 10 to 12 minutes in the breakout group. Liz is going to walk you through what that'll all look like. But if you can kind of make your choice, we're going to go to one more slide, and then Liz is going to walk you through that. But these would be the sections that you just want to explore more with the people that also want to do that. Wait, that's not, oh yeah, is that right?
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. So if you, in the chat, we're going to organize this the best we can, and then I'll go through the norms. So asking you to choose either caring for yourself and others, equity and compassion, or bright spots. I'm going to call out like caring for yourself and others. And if you want that one, then go ahead and type it in the chat all at once. So then Nicole's got all of the names in one chunk, and it'll be easier for her to transfer people to a breakout room. Does that make sense? So we're gonna go ahead and organize ourselves like that right now, and then I'll walk you through the norms. So if you would like caring for yourself and others, go ahead and pop your name in the chat now. Thanks, Amy. Okay, I think that's it, right? Okay, if you are thinking about equity and compassion and you'd like to dive into that, go ahead and pop your name in now.
Liz, will you give me just a sec?
Yeah.
So I am furiously writing.
You're good.
Okay, I'm caught up.
Cool. Okay, so then I'm going to type bright spots in the chat. If you are interested in bright spots, go ahead and pop your name in now. Thanks for your flexibility with us. We've been trying to think logistically about this. Awesome.
All right, I'm gonna need just a minute. Do you, Liz, I can't, can you share your screen? Because I can't seem to share mine and still put breakout groups.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So I certainly didn't do that, sorry.
No, you're okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right now.